Welcome to Business Notes. I'm your host, Diane Bogino. Our guest today is ROBB HILLER. ROBB is CEO of Performance Solutions. He's nationally known for his expertise in talent selection, executive coaching, and has consulted with hundreds of high-tech and medical device companies, including several Fortune 1000 companies. ROBB was recently awarded the Bill J. Bonstetter Lifetime Achievement Award for his extensive work in evaluating talent, assessing more than 24,000 people within the past 25 years. ROBB and his wife have three adult children and live in Minnesota. And now here's ROBB to tell us about his new book. ROBB, welcome to Business Notes, and thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, I couldn't be happier to be with you today. And the fact that I am talking and listening to you and that I'm alive today. I tell you, we all sit and take that for granted. But the fact that I can even share this message of hope is a thrill for me to be able to do. So thank you for having me on.
Well, you are welcome, and I want to congratulate you on your book. You've written, this is your second book, I believe.
Right.
And also congratulations on your award, the Bill J. Bonstetter Award.
Oh, thank you.
That was great.
That was a thrill to get, probably a once in a lifetime, but that's okay. Listen, it was a thrill.
Yes. So ROBB, share with our audience, why did you write The Power of Three?
Well, in 2017, I went to the club and was doing planks. I was getting ready for the golf season. I was excited. Living in Minnesota, you don't get a whole lot of chance to do those things. And I experienced this pain doing planks. And from there, went to the Fairview Hospital. And then they said, man, after tests, you got something here that doesn't look real good. I was referred to Mayo Clinic. And so I went to Mayo Clinic, and from that, they discovered three deadly cancers. When we sat down with Dr. Preek, he kind of folded his hands, looked up and said, you don't have one cancer, you don't have two, you have three. And that was, I think anyone that hears that word cancer is afraid regardless, but two and then three. So I knew that somehow, if with God's help and great medicine and the prayers of thousands, that if I made it through this, I would get a second chance at life and ability to share. So obviously I made it through because I'm talking with you. And what I discovered through that is I actually used the things that I've taught for 25 years to all these business people and regular people that are out there. And it's called the Power of Three. And I use that myself to keep myself going during those 5 months of chemotherapy and trial drug that impacted me.
Mm-hmm. So tell us some of the key points from your book. You just mentioned the Power of Three. So tell us about that.
So the one thing that 100% we know, we don't even have to guess at this, is that you and I and your listener, whoever we are, we're going to have adversity today, this week, this month, next month. It is a certainty that we're going to have that. So when we go through adversity, the key is not that it can actually do some wonderful things for you going through it, but no one likes to go through it. And the key is, what do we do to manage our way through that and come out victorious? And 25 years ago, I discovered something that was called Ask, Activate, and Advocate. And it's a simple, proven method that if you use it, you will have greater success. It doesn't mean, for instance, it didn't mean for sure I was going to live. But I'll tell you how I went through that. It had all the bearing in the world. And using all three of these was absolutely critical for me. And it's what I've taught for all these years.
Mm. And also this Power of Three is something that you teach in business too for coaching. Am I correct?
Right. And to leaders and to people. And um, uh, the greatest compliment I can ever get is that people years later call me, write me, or do whatever when I have nothing to do with them or they moved on with the company, and they'll refer to something that I taught them all those years ago, and that it's made a difference in their life. And so, what's been fun having the book out, when you read The Power of Three, it will inspire you and give hope, because there's practicality that goes along with the principles on how to do these things and to bring life, uh, and give you a path to get better solutions. Leaders all are paid to solve problems, and they're also paid to motivate and inspire people. Well, that's what this does.
So, Rob, speaking of your business, Performance Solutions, you have a unique benchmarking process, and I'd like for you to tell our audience about that.
Well, the benchmarking is crucial. For instance, if you want to uh, have someone be hired, or if you want to go ahead and see, is this person the right person to promote? And what do they need help and development as? You first need a target. It would be like someone shooting a bow and arrow and they would blindfold you and you would pull back the arrow and shoot, and you had no idea where the target is. So benchmarking gives you that target. And so I came up, with a very simple way to do that, which is you identify the 3 to 5 key accountabilities, or what the job really is all about, and that they are called, and that you would have a measurement to each one of those key accountabilities. Usually 3 or 4 is enough. If you try to do too many, then you're trying to create a Superman or a Superwoman, and you probably won't succeed. Once you have that, it's called then gathering the stakeholders that know something about the job, that are impacted by the job, and they go ahead and they give you uh, input into it. And we, of course, use science that allows us to get objectivity, and we go ahead and gain that input. And then you scientifically come up with behaviors, values, and acumen that is required for superior performance for that job. Once you have the top 7 and what are the top 3 values and the top 3 behavioral styles, now you can evaluate any candidate from the standpoint of talent and know whether they're a close enough fit or not. And of course, experience is important. That's 1/3. The other third is how they interview. But this third right here, which is the benchmark, evaluating true talent using science, I'm sorry, you can't do that from just interviewing. It's it's just not possible. So you need that objective measurement to be able to do that.
Mm. Yeah, you got to have some good tools and some solid science behind those tools.
Yes, and I would say that neuroscience that you and I both know now so well is the key to being able to delve down and say, in this third of the evaluation, are they a good match or not? And then, of course, by interviewing them, you can confirm or deny any of the things that you see or is said in the assessment. And from the assessment will help you actually do a far better job interviewing. I can't imagine interviewing without having the assessment.
Yeah, I agree with you. Why do people call you the people fixer upper?
Well, every time I've gone and started working with a company, they have people problems. And the people problems are the ones that cause the problems, of course, in profits and sales and customer service and retention, turnover, and all those kinds of things. So usually when I go in, we have everyone take our full set of assessments, and I can quickly diagnose what it is that is preventing this person from becoming all that they really would like to become. And so by doing coaching and having that tool, we can get to the bottom of it so quickly versus spending forever trying to discover all these things, when in essence, it may be two, maybe three things that they really, if they worked on those, they're not going to be perfect because we're not perfect people. But guess what? If you could help them see and do these two, three things, it would make a major difference. And then, of course, if you focus on the key accountabilities of their job, now you really have excitement. And by the way, that gets back to power of three: ask, activate, and advocate. All three of those, if you do those, it's like a triangle. The triangle is when you key. When you drove across a bridge this morning, if you did, it was probably made with triangles to keep it up. In your house, your floor joists are triangles. The roof truss are triangles. The Egyptian pyramids are triangles, and the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, is a triangle. It's the power of the triangle that works, and it's been around for thousands and thousands of years. It is the strongest shape in geometry.
Interesting. So, is this what you mean when you talk about on your website, you take the whole person approach and transformational coaching?
If, for instance, if you only focused on one thing and you didn't address another key element that interacted with it, you probably wouldn't have much success. You'd have limited off and on success. But if you want sustained ability to grow and to develop, the power of three allows you to do that because it has the whole person approach embedded in the method.
Hmm. Rob, that ties in nicely with, I think, the message of your book. But what do you want people to take away from this book?
Well, adversity, as I said, is a 100% certainty. And I never just thought that I would go to the club one day and end up with discover three deadly cancers within the next few weeks. I never thought I could make it through 5 months of chemotherapy, where I would start in the beginning of the day at Mayo at 7 in the morning, end at 5, and never leave having an IV in my arm. It was in my arm all day. I just can't explain to anybody else how tough that is. So when my challenge would be different than yours or someone else's. It could be a lousy relationship. It could be a bad boss, a career gone awry. It could be a host of it. It could be COVID. But the key is, how do we respond from that? And I know that the power of three gives you the strength to go through it. Because if you ask good questions in the beginning, you will be directed towards better answers. And what I would hope for every one of the people listening is, if you get the book, and I hope that you will, not for me, but for you in helping others and for your own self to be able to navigate your way far more successfully. Ask the right questions, activate your God-given gifts, and then connect with your faith, your family, and your friends, which is the advocate part. And if they'll do that, I know that they will be so much more successful. And that's how I made it through 5 months of probably the worst time in my life, but it's turned out to be the best time today.
Mm. And Rob, where can people get a copy of your book?
Well, it's interesting. Target and Amazon are having a war out there online, and Target's decided to apparently compete. And for around $12 online, you can get a hardcover copy of this book, which to me is like a couple lattes. I mean, it's just almost silly. But Barnes and Nobles also has it in many other places. It's, all across the United States and different parts of the world.
Great. To wrap up, Rob, but you and I were talking before we started recording, and this has given you a new lease on life. I'd like for you to tell the audience what that means to you and how people should really be appreciating the life that they have today.
Right. I, I think COVID has, and what's done to everybody, has probably brought a lot of frustration, a lot of sadness, a lot of, oh, I can't stand this. I can't. And we've all needed to adjust even more so. I know that myself, I've used this power of three because the only reason uh, I can weather through these storms is I continually go back to it. It helps me make better decisions. It helps me keep my emotions in check. It helps me come up with creative options. And most importantly, it keeps me in connected to the Lord that I love because it's connecting with your faith, your family, and your friends that ultimately is where your peace and satisfaction and joy will come from.
Mhm. Rob, you've brought the audience an important message and probably a new way of thinking for many people about life and living life and appreciating life. And I appreciate your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching Business Notes. We've been speaking with Rob Hiller, CEO of Performance Solutions. I'm your host, Diane Bogino, bringing you business ideas you can bank on.